Welcome back, Grim Histories enthusiasts. Tonight we delve into a particularly ticklish subject. A subject that blends the seemingly innocent with the utterly barbaric, the playful with the profoundly terrifying. We're talking about torture, but not the kind you might expect fire, rack, or the wheel. Oh no, this is far more subtle, far more insidious. We're talking about the science of a torturous laugh. Imagine, if you will, the chilling laughter echoing through the cold stone walls of a medieval dungeon. Not the joyous, unrestrained laughter of a child at play, but a high-pitched, ragged sound born not of mirth, but of sheer, gut-wrenching terror. This wasn't the sound of someone enjoying themselves. It was the sound of a soul-breaking. It was the sound of tickle torture. Yes, you heard that right, tickle torture. A seemingly absurd concept, a childish prank twisted into a medieval instrument of unimaginable cruelty. It's a notion so bizarre, so counterintuitive, that it almost feels comical, but the historical record, though sparse, hints at a darker truth, a truth that speaks to the terrifying power of the human mind, and the chilling ingenuity of those who sought to break it. Let's travel back to 13th century Germany, a land steeped in superstition and shadowed by the looming presence of the church. Picture a dark, damp dungeon, the air thick with the stench of mildew and despair. In this grim setting we find our subject, a prisoner, his name lost to the annals of time. His crime perhaps a petty theft, a whispered heresy, or a political slight. The details are unimportant. What matters is the method of his torment. His crime, whatever it may have been, was deemed worthy of a punishment unlike any other. His jailers, men hardened by years of witnessing suffering, devised a form of torture both simple and devastatingly effective. They chose a weapon that, in the hands of a child, might elicit giggles, but in the hands of a torturer became an instrument of psychological warfare. Their weapon? A single feather. Day after day, night after night, the feather danced across his skin. A light touch, a barely perceptible caress. Yet each stroke sent a wave of involuntary spasms through his body, triggering an uncontrollable, hysterical laughter. It wasn't the laughter of joy. It was the laughter of panic, of utter helplessness. It was the laughter of a man whose mind was slowly, relentlessly being broken. His pleas for mercy were met with more tickling, more laughter, a cruel symphony of despair. This wasn't a quick, brutal end. This was a slow, agonizing descent into madness, a prolonged ordeal designed to strip away his dignity and shatter his will. The laughter became a constant, a haunting echo in the dungeon, a testament to the torturer's chilling ingenuity. It was a sound that spoke of the power of the human body to betray the mind, of the terrifying disconnect between physical sensation and emotional response. It was a sound that would forever haunt the darkest corners of the medieval world. And this, my friends, is where our journey begins. We've barely scratched the surface of this grim tale. What is the science behind this seemingly absurd torture method? What role does the hypothalamus, that ancient part of our brain, play in this involuntary response? And what can this gruesome historical anecdote tell us about the nature of laughter, pain, and the terrifying limits of human cruelty? So, we've established that tickling, far from being a playful interaction, could be a tool of medieval torture. But why the laughter? Why does the body betray the mind in such a horrifyingly contradictory way? Let's delve into the unsettling science behind this seemingly simple act. Forget the giggling fits you share with friends. The laughter elicited by torture by relentless, targeted tickling is not the joyous, spontaneous eruption of amusement. It's a primal scream, disguised. A desperate, involuntary response to overwhelming stress. Think of it as the body's panicked hiccup in the face of unbearable pressure. Imagine, if you will, the chilling scenario, a prisoner, bound and helpless, subjected to the relentless, maddening assault of a feather against their skin. The sensation isn't merely unpleasant. It's profoundly disorienting. It bypasses the normal pathways of pain perception. It's not the sharp, searing agony of a blow, but a constant, irritating, inescapable torment that burrows under the skin, chipping away at the prisoner's sanity. This is where the hypothalamus comes into play. This small but crucial part of the brain acts as a control center for many vital functions, including our response to stress and fear. It's the brain's alarm system, constantly monitoring the body's state and triggering the fight or flight response. Now, consider the situation of our medieval prisoner. Their brain registers the tickling not as a playful stimulus, but as a threat, a violation of their physical and mental integrity. The hypothalamus, perceiving danger, kicks into high gear. It floods the body with stress hormones, preparing it for action. However, the prisoner is immobile, utterly trapped, unable to fight or flee. This is where the bizarre twist occurs. The body's attempt to cope with the overwhelming stress manifests in unexpected ways. The same neurological pathways that generate laughter, associated with social bonding and positive interactions, are also implicated in stress responses, often triggered by overwhelming fear or anxiety. It's a neurological shortcut, a messy, chaotic response that lacks the nuanced control of a deliberate emotional expression. The laughter, then, isn't a sign of enjoyment, but a symptom of overwhelming, debilitating stress, a desperate, involuntary twitch in the face of utter helplessness. We see similar reactions in animals. A cornered rodent, facing an unavoidable predator, might emit high-pitched squeaks or even make strange, almost laughing sounds. It's not happiness. It's a display of distress, a desperate attempt to communicate vulnerability. The response is driven by the same primal urge to survive, manifesting in unexpected and often unsettling ways. The laughter of a tickled prisoner, then, is a terrifyingly accurate reflection of their internal state, a body struggling to cope with overwhelming fear and stress, betrayed by its own involuntary responses, trapped in a cycle of torment where the very act of expressing pain only serves to deepen the humiliation and despair. The laughter is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, clinging to the last vestiges of control in the face of unimaginable cruelty. The connection between the hypothalamus, the perceived threat of tickling, and the involuntary laughter reveals a much darker side to this seemingly innocent act. It's a chilling demonstration of how the body can betray the mind, turning a simple sensation into a tool of unspeakable torture. Let's step back for a moment. We've established that laughter, in the context of tickling, isn't always the joyous expression of mirth we associate with it. We've seen how the body can betray the mind, triggering a cascade of involuntary responses that have nothing to do with amusement. But now, let's examine how this peculiar physiological response was weaponized, how something as seemingly innocuous as a feather brushing against the skin became a tool of cruelty and control in the medieval world. The medieval period, a time often romanticized in film and fiction, was a brutal era. Power dynamics were starkly defined, and the whims of the powerful often resulted in unimaginable suffering for the less fortunate. This wasn't limited to overt acts of violence. Cruelty often took more subtle, insidious forms, and tickling in certain contexts became one of those forms. Imagine the scene, a dank, dimly lit dungeon. A prisoner, stripped of dignity and hope, lies bound on a cold stone floor. Their eyes dart around wildly, fear etched on their face as a tormentor approaches. But instead of a sword or a whip, the tormentor holds something far more unsettling, a single, delicate feather. This wasn't a game, a playful jest between friends. This was a calculated act of psychological torture. The feather, light as a breath, would dance across the prisoner's skin, eliciting involuntary spasms of laughter that was far from genuine, a desperate, helpless sound born of terror and utter helplessness. The use of tickling as a form of torture wasn't widespread, but documented cases and anecdotal evidence paint a disturbing picture. The power dynamic played a crucial role. A nobleman could use tickling to humiliate a serf, stripping them of their dignity in a manner that was both humiliating and deeply unsettling. The laughter was the ultimate symbol of their subjugation, a stark reminder of their powerlessness. The records aren't abundant, of course. Medieval society didn't meticulously document every instance of torture, especially those considered less noble than, say, burning at the stake or drawing and quartering. But scattered accounts reveal glimpses of this dark practice. There are whispers in monastic chronicles of prisoners being subjected to protracted tickling sessions as a form of interrogation, their laughter a morbid soundtrack to their forced confessions. The lack of physical scarring made it easier to conceal this form of torture, leaving no obvious marks for potential investigations. It was a silent, invisible cruelty. But the true horror of this torture lay not just in the physical sensation, but in the psychological manipulation. The unpredictability of the tickling, the constant anticipation of the next touch, the inability to control one's response, these elements compounded the torment. It's a form of torture that plays upon the body's involuntary responses, effectively stripping the victim of their agency and reducing them to a quivering, giggling mass of flesh. It was a perversion of a natural response, a grotesque mockery of human connection. The laughter itself became a weapon, a symbol of the tormentor's power and the victim's utter defeat. It was a chilling reminder that even the most basic human responses could be twisted, weaponized, and used to inflict profound psychological damage. The feather, a seemingly innocent object, became a symbol of power, a tool of terror in the hands of the cruel. It was a testament to the dark depths of human ingenuity when it came to inflicting suffering. The flickering torchlight cast long, dancing shadows across the damp stone floor. Imagine, if you will, the chilling silence of a medieval dungeon, broken only by the ragged breaths of a prisoner. But this is not the silence of resignation. This is the silence of terror, pregnant with the anticipation of pain. For in this grim place, even laughter could be a weapon. We've explored the physical mechanisms, the involuntary spasms of muscles, the brain's desperate attempt to process a confusing assault on the senses. But the true horror of tickle torture wasn't just physiological, it was psychological. It was the insidious erosion of control, the dehumanizing experience of being reduced to a helpless, giggling mess. Consider the victim, bound, perhaps, or simply restrained by the sheer terror that grips him. The tickler, a figure of immense power, holds the victim's fate entirely in their hands. Their touch, seemingly innocuous, becomes a source of profound dread. It's not the physical sensation alone, though the relentless, unpredictable nature of tickling is certainly agonizing. It's the complete loss of dignity, the inability to control one's own body, to suppress the involuntary bursts of laughter that betray the profound distress within. This is a form of psychological torture far exceeding the mere physical pain. The laughter itself becomes a mockery, a cruel parody of joy. It's a sound born not of mirth, but of desperation, a desperate attempt to expel the building dread that threatens to engulf the victim. It's a sound that echoes the prisoner's helplessness, their inability to escape the tormentor's grasp, both physical and psychological. The anticipation, perhaps, was even worse than the act itself. The knowledge that the torment could strike at any moment, that the fleeting respite between bouts of tickling only served to heighten the dread of the next assault. The mind, already strained by confinement and fear, becomes consumed by this agonizing anticipation. Each moment is a precarious balance between fear and the dreaded inevitability of the next attack. This unpredictability was a crucial element of the torture. Unlike a consistent, brutal beating, the capricious nature of tickling introduced an element of the unknown, a terrifying uncertainty that fed the victim's anxiety. This aligns perfectly with the anxieties of the medieval world, a time rife with superstition and a profound fear of the unseen. The devil, demons, unseen forces, these were ever-present threats, and the unpredictable nature of tickle torture mirrored this pervasive fear of the unknown. The victim was not merely facing a tormentor. They were facing a force that seemed to defy logic and reason, a force as capricious and unpredictable as the very whims of fate. Tickle torture wasn't simply a crude method of inflicting pain. It was a calculated assault on the mind, designed to break the spirit through the insidious erosion of control and dignity. It was a form of psychological warfare, exploiting the very mechanisms of the body to inflict a uniquely agonizing form of torment. It was a cruel jest played upon the human psyche, a testament to the depths of human cruelty in a world already steeped in darkness. So, we've journeyed through the murky depths of medieval history, witnessed the perverse application of tickling, and explored the unsettling science behind its ability to inflict such profound psychological torment. But does this grim practice simply fade into the annals of forgotten cruelty, a historical footnote relegated to the dusty tomes of forgotten torture chambers? Absolutely not. The echoes of laughter born from terror resonate far beyond the medieval dungeons. The very act of tickling, once a playful interaction, is forever tainted by its association with such brutality. Consider this: the simple act of a playful tickle, even today, can evoke a complex mix of emotions. Delight, yes, but also a flicker of unease, a primal awareness of the potential for violation inherent in the unpredictable nature of the touch. That unease, that subtle discomfort, is the ghost of medieval tickle torture whispering in our ears. We, as a modern society, have largely relegated tickling to the realm of childhood games. Yet the inherent vulnerability in the act remains. The sudden, unexpected touch, the uncontrollable spasms of laughter, the utter helplessness in the face of another's will, these are elements that are not easily dismissed. They are, in fact, the very elements that made tickle torture so effective. It wasn't merely about physical discomfort. It was about the profound psychological manipulation, the complete erosion of dignity and control. Think about the power dynamics inherent in a tickle. It is, at its core, an act of dominance. The tickler holds all the power. The victim is utterly at their mercy. This dynamic, so readily apparent in the medieval context where social hierarchies were rigidly enforced, still subtly exists today. A playful tickle between friends can quickly turn sour if the power balance shifts, becoming a tool of playful aggression or even bullying. The legacy of tickle torture is not just a historical curiosity. It serves as a chilling reminder of the potential for cruelty inherent in even the most seemingly innocuous acts. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that the line between playfulness and torture can be astonishingly thin, and that the human capacity for inflicting pain, even indirectly, is tragically vast. Furthermore, the scientific understanding we've gained, the knowledge of the hypothalamus's role in the fear response, and its unexpected connection to laughter, has broadened our comprehension of the human nervous system and how it can be manipulated. This knowledge, while unsettling in its application to past atrocities, is also invaluable in understanding trauma and developing more effective treatments for psychological distress. The image of a medieval prisoner, convulsed with involuntary laughter amidst their terror, is a powerful symbol. It's a haunting reminder of the fragility of human control and the enduring power of manipulation. It's a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of laughter, pain, and the chilling possibilities that exist at the intersection of the two. The laughter echoes, a ghostly reminder of a dark chapter in history, a warning whispered on the wind. The line between play and pain, between joy and terror, remains a razor's edge, a testament to the enduring complexity of the human experience. The science of a torturous laugh isn't just about understanding the past. It's about understanding ourselves. It's about recognizing the potential for cruelty within us all and the importance of vigilance against its insidious manifestations. The laughter, once a weapon, now serves as a stark and unsettling warning. So there you have it. The science of a torturous laugh. A chilling exploration of how something as seemingly innocuous as tickling could be twisted into an instrument of medieval cruelty. We journeyed from the gruesome anecdote of the 13th century prisoner driven mad by relentless tickling to the surprising neurological response of the hypothalamus, a brain region more associated with fear than mirth. We saw how the simple act of tickling, a playful jest in some contexts, became a tool of power, a means of humiliation and even interrogation. We uncovered the psychological torment, the utter helplessness, the jarring dissonance between involuntary laughter and profound terror, amplified by the unpredictable nature of the act itself, a stark reflection of the medieval anxieties surrounding the unseen and the unknown. But perhaps the most haunting echo of this grim history isn't the physical pain, but the psychological legacy. The unsettling truth is that the power dynamic inherent in tickle torture, the complete control one person wields over another's body and emotional state, still resonates today. Think of modern forms of bullying, gaslighting, or even the insidious use of laughter as a weapon to diminish or control. The medieval torturer's feather, though replaced by far more subtle tools, continues to find its way into the shadows of modern power plays. The laughter remains, but the context, the meaning, that has shifted. The echoes of that medieval cruelty whisper to us even now, a stark reminder of the fragility of our control over our own bodies and emotions. What do you think? What's the most chilling aspect of this grim history? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Grim Histories for more unsettling tales from the dark side of history.